today's topic is about somewhat important concept in calculation. I mean, one of the most fundamental and important. I should not say somewhat, but so yeah, it is a very important concept in calculation and decision making overall, right? So that is what we are going to see. So what is method of elimination in calculation, right? So today's session will be on calculation, and we're going to look at mainly the concept method of elimination. So we have to, try to form a structured, not a completely structured thought process, but not a completely haywire thought process. So we have to develop a little bit of both, right? So we should have some structure in the mind. We have to perform some structure consciously. We have to train for some structure consciously, and we have to play from the subconscious, right? So we are not just imitating something, but it's not. We are not playing random moves, or we are not calculating in a completely haywire way. That is the goal of this. So in any portion, right? So when there is a calculation involved, we consider a lot of moves. Method of elimination is a calculation technique where players generate several possible moves, eliminate the weaker ones. So this is for speed, right? So how do we arrive at the right move much more quickly? We eliminate the weaker moves one by one, right? So much more quickly, and then we arrive at the whatever is moves remaining, right? So yeah, elimination of variations, elimination of candidate moves, which are not necessary, right? So why do we do it? Why do we do it? It is used for calculation efficiency, error minimization. Yeah, helps avoid impulsive or subtop. So it is to become much more faster at making decisions, right? So in a way, we are looking at what is not working, right? Instead of constantly searching for what is working, we are kind of switching the gear here and going for, this is not working in this portion. Let me eliminate that. This is not working in this portion. Let me eliminate. Not working in this portion. Oh, so I'm left with this move, and this seems to be working. Let me go with that, right? This is the approach we are taking here. So instead of searching for the best move, we are eliminating the bad moves. And as a player, you will find candidate moves in any portion, right? So you can, when you're eliminating the bad moves, you're arriving at the good moves much faster and achieving your goal of decision making faster, right? So it's a very important concept, guys. So this is the process of method of elimination. So take a good look at this. So in any portion that we calculate, the first thing is to identify the problem and define the goal. So how am I picking my candidate moves? The first step is the concept of picking the candidate move. So before you pick the candidate move, you have to find the problem and define the goal. So this is what I want to do. I want to promote my pawn. I want to attack the king or something like that, right? So every portion will have its own problem and its own goal. So we are trying to identify that. So this step allows us to pick candidate moves. So it might be it might be 2 candidate moves, it might be 3 candidates, it might be more. But usually 3 is a good number. It's a more common number, I would say, in most portions, right? So it's hard to find more than 3 candidate moves in many portions, and also it is hard to, when there's only 1 candidate move, it's a forced move, so you don't have to worry about it too much, right? So, and the next step, once we identify the candidate moves, the next step would be to eliminate unsound moves and moves that lead to clear disadvantage. Yeah, so we are going in the reverse direction. So we are picking the 3 moves, and we are not thinking which is the best move out of this. So do you understand the concept of method of elimination? So we are not picking the best move out of this. Which are the bad ones out of this? So candidate 1, candidate move 2, candidate move 3. I'm not searching for the best move. So I'm searching for the bad move so that I can quickly eliminate that. And then compare the other 2 options. So I'll have fewer options to compare much more quickly. So candidate 3 moves 3 is bad. Okay, let me eliminate that. So I need to only calculate 2 and 1. And then finally we select the best move and make it, right? So this is the simple process of method of elimination, guys. Is that clear? So we arrive at the first portion. So here we have to identify the problem and define the goal. That is the first step. So what is the white to play and draw? This is the problem, right? So what are the candidate moves? Step 2 is to consider the candidate moves. Don't worry, the positions. Yeah, exactly. Problem is we are really down on material actually. We are really down on material. And white's candidate moves. So once again, what do we see? So there is no need to calculate. We can eliminate king b8 immediately. So I'm not finding b5. Step 1 is to look at the top, identify the problem and define the goal. Step 2 is consider the candidate moves. Exactly. King b8 leads to clear advantage, so we can eliminate it and go for b7. Very good. So the next portions will be difficult. So I'm just starting off easy to define the problem with. So when we calculate b7 and we consider rook into b7, in this variation we have achieved our goal, right? So this is what I call partial proof of accuracy. Take this down also, guys. I mean, this is also important, right? So I have eliminated king b8. I calculate b7 and then I'm thinking rook into b7 and I've achieved my first goal. What is the first goal? The goal is to make a draw as white. So the goal is to make a draw as white. So I'm talking about a new concept. Like we are slightly deviating into to learn a smaller concept, not as big as method of calculation, small. It is called partial proof of accuracy. So in this variation, so when I play b7, I'm not considered all black moves, right? I'm not considered all black moves. So I'm considering the most direct move. The most direct move is rook into b7. And this is helping me achieve my goal. So that is called partial proof of accuracy. So partial proof of accuracy refers to verifying the soundness of a move by analyzing only the critical lines and responses without calculating every possibility. So I would say, even say calculating and analyzing only the direct moves. So it allows players to feel confident and that a move is strong or safe based on partial analysis, saving time during practical play. Yeah, this approach is commonly used under time pressure. Partially calculating, not all the lines are calculated. Partially calculating variations to make a decision. So partial proof of accuracy. So b7 rook into b7 achieves my goal. So the third point is, yeah, for Krishna Priya, eliminate unsound moves that lead to clear disadvantage. So we'll be sending you this PDF in the Telegram as well. So you can write it down, but I do recommend writing it down for your own notebook and, keeping a notebook for yourself for chess. So black chooses, a lot of you have said knight d5 also in the chat, which is very good. This is the same idea. So what are white's candidate moves now? So we can eliminate the bad moves quite quickly in this portion. Yeah, b8 is equal to knight is the solution. I know that most of you have gotten it. So eliminating the wrong candidate. We can arrive at b8 is equal to knight even by eliminating b8 is equal to queen. Right? So, I mean, the first goal should be to eliminate b8 is equal to queen. So you guys are doing the same thing. Whoever is writing b8 is equal to knight, you're doing the same thing very quickly, but subconsciously. Right? So we all want to queen the pawn, but you're eliminating it by seeing a move ahead very quickly. What is white's goal here? So the problem with bishop c6 or bishop d5 is that I will collect the pawn actually. Bishop c6, I'll take the rook to the a file basically. So bishop c6, rook h5 would be the move. And then rook a5. Bishop b7 also rook h5. And then rook a5. Bishop c6, rook h5. We have to see the most direct move, right? So I want to queen the pawn. So let me try to queen. So first find out how black is defending against the most direct move. I want to queen the pawn. So I'm pushing the pawn. So let's think like this. There are two options. The most direct move. I want to queen the pawn. I'm pushing the pawn. How is black going to stop it. So rook h5, we'll look at all those options. So rook h3 was suggested. The solution is right here. Bishop f3, right? Rook h7 was suggested. The solution is bishop b7. Rook h8 is suggested. The solution is bishop c6. Yeah, so wherever you go, I'll put the rook there actually. Rook h5 is suggested, bishop d5. So basically, whatever we do, so this is the other way of elimination, right? Right? So king c8 also, bishop c6. He cannot reach the pawn. So basically, he has to use the rook to reach the pawn, and we are using the bishop to block the rook. So that is why we are not moving the bishop on the first move. We will move the bishop depending on where black will move the rook. Right? So look at the candidate moves actually. So let's look at the candidate moves. What have I mentioned as the candidate moves? Any bishop move. A7 is one move and any bishop move. Bishop b7, bishop c6, bishop d5, bishop e4, bishop f3, bishop g2. So like there are like 5 moves, 6 moves. Bishop h1 I have rejected directly. So between these, why I'm choosing, I have eliminated all the bishop moves by calculating the most direct move first. So method of elimination is not about calculating the bad move first. You will not know which move is bad before you calculate, right? How will we know? You have to choose the most direct move and you have to eliminate it. Less direct move, eliminate it. Like that, right? So in this case, what has happened is the most direct move is the right move. So we have not eliminated, we have chosen all the other options. What is the most direct move? Most direct moves, any move that has a threat, capture, check, forcing. That is called the most direct moves, right? So threat, check, captures, and threats. So a7 threatens something immediately, move the bishop and queen. So this is just what I explained now. Check if the most direct move is the best move. So I can rephrase that to check if the most direct move wins to if it is the best move. So if direct move is good, there's no need to look further. So what do you think about the position and identify black's problem in the position and the goal looking for, right? So the king is, so even though black has a nice pawn on b3, extra pass pawn on b3, the king is slightly shaky. The queen is far away from the king. The king is slightly shaky.
Yes.
Yeah. So that is the problem. Okay. So let's take it. This is your chance to structure your thinking. This is where you're training. So this is your chance to structure it. First, we have to identify the problem on the goal and the goal. First step. Step 2 is identify the candidate moves. Step 3 is eliminate the bad choice. So how do we start calculating for the bad choice? We have to look at the most direct moves. Right? So very good. Very good, guys. So this might not be the worst move in the position. We will not know which is the worst move till we calculate. So how am I starting my calculation of the candidate moves? I'm starting with G takes F6. So if some move is very obviously bad, we can eliminate it immediately, right? So there is no move which is very obviously bad. Let me go back to, we know that king b8 is bad as soon as we see it, right? So we eliminate it immediately. But in the position we are at right now, it is not so, right? So we don't know which is the worst move without calculating. So this is where we start calculating. So we look at them. So this is the second candidate move. And this is the third candidate. Don't worry, guys. The position is not at all simple, right? So we are going to look at some complex variations. So I want you to stay with me. So read the text in the video, right? So after G into F6, we use a method of by considering the most direct move first. So just by looking at the moves, I'm not able to calculate which is the worst move. So I'm considering G into F6 first. So queen F7 check, king H8. So if you are able to see very quickly that king G6 leads to mate, you can eliminate it first. So for the purpose of the group, I would say I'm going a bit slow, but if you're able to eliminate one move, it is very good. That's where you should start your calculation. So queen f7 check, king h8, e takes f6. Right? So guys, there's the next question on the screen. What are black's candidate moves? And which one you will choose? So knight f5 preventing checkmate, hoping that black will cope with the dangerous f6 pawn. Knight f6 removing the main data, hoping for counterplay. So these are our two options. Right? So yeah, so calculation discipline. So how is knight f5 is not so easy actually. So neither move is so simple actually. So knight into f6, queen into f6. So if you think that knight f6 is bad, you should eliminate it with some variation, right? So you cannot eliminate it without any calculation. It would be a mistake to eliminate it without any calculation. So I would say you should eliminate it with some variations. So knight f6, queen f6, king g8, queen into e6. So very direct position. King f8, what should white do? Right? So we are calculating deep and suddenly we have to stop to consider the possibilities. Right? So bishop h4. So two things we have to do for calculation milestone. Calculation milestone comes when where we want to reassess the position. So far the bishop on f2 has not been playing, right? It is a new piece that is coming into action. So that is one reason to consider this as a calculation milestone. Second thing would to confirm or revise the plan. Whether we can continue with the same plan or we have to come up with something else, right? So that's what I'm saying. As a player, what I'm trying to say is that you cannot see till the end. So when you play queen f6 or when you play int f6, you don't have to see the move bishop h4. You can come here and see. So that is why I'm saying it's a calculation milestone. So if it is end of a forced sequence, so I mean everything was fairly forced now. And critical transitions in the position, multiple candidate moves. So one of these three things. So once again, so bishop h4, I have chosen knight d5, queen into h6, queen into c6, queen into d4. What should white do? Queen into d4, what should white do, guys? The goal is to eliminate the b3 pawn actually. So queen c8 and queen b7 check. This is the solution. So what is the settled position? So I just want to teach a little bit more theory. What is a settled position? Queen 8 and queen b7 is also equally good. Yeah, queen 8 is also possible. It's just I mean, as long as you win the b3 pawn, it's fine. So I learned these terms also so that you can communicate with other chess players and you can understand what others are talking about well. Where no immediate tactical threats, urgent calculation. So both players have reached a state of stability. Yeah, all the complexity has ended in a settled position. So we move from calculating to paying attention to the strategic concepts. So that is what I mean by settled position. So we have 2 pawns of beat. We have to stop our calculation. So whatever I calculate is good enough. Yeah. So that is, I think you have understood the concept, right? So remember these things so that you can also converse with the same terms. And yeah. So instead of knight d5, we place queen a3. That is also losing. Knight f5 is the other candidate move. So other than knight into f6, we have to consider knight f5. So this is where the complexity actually begins. So what is the candidate move for white here? So queen e8 check is an obvious move. I think we don't have to. Queen f8, if you play king h7, and I don't see any deviation. Right? f7, he has knight f6. Queen g7, you cannot play, no? There's a knight defending it. Idea is, yeah, knight f8 idea is to prevent queen g7x. So what is white's goal here? That's how, I mean, if you don't identify the goal and the goal, you will never be able to find the right candidate. What is white's goal here? So Yeah, it will be hard to remove the f8, so we'll try to promote the pawn. So that is what the next two moves are about. Okay, actually that is a very complex. I've not considered queen e6 for some reason. Let's consider the most direct move, right? So f7 is the most direct move. So what happens after f7? Knight f6, right? So he has only one move to defend the mate on g8. I'm not even trying to stop the pawn now. I have to defend the mate on g8. So by method of elimination, all other moves are bad. f8 knight, there is nothing. No, I'll just move the king. King g7, and your bishop is also attacked. Your bishop is also under attack on f2. So you have to remember that. Not forget about it. So knight f6, what is the move? King g8 actually. So f7, knight f6, f8 is equal to knight, king g8 I'll play. So there is another variation which will lead to a similar position. So queen f5, queen f2, it doesn't matter actually whether what you take actually. Here my b3 pawn will save me. Right? So my b3 pawn gives me enough counterplay to at least to draw the game actually. So queen into e6 is the move. What should black play? So maybe it just transposes, that is what I was saying actually. King g7, f8, queen, king into f8. So we get the same position basically. Not queen e3, king g7 is the move. So basically we get the same position and it's nothing more than a perpetual. So here, queen into e6 instead of f7, right? So what we can understand from this is, as long as black eliminates the f7 pawn, he's going to be okay. So what is the third candidate? f7 we saw was not working. So f7, queen f7 or queen d7. So queen d7. So this is the line we saw. So queen d7 is the right move actually. So it is a very difficult move. And I would say that, that makes g into f6 not such a bad option. So f7 we play. Black takes on f2. So how to win this position? Let me know in the chat. Queen into e6 system. King g7. Yeah, queen e8. And after queen g3, we have king g1. So the whole point is that we are able to prevent the perpetual check compared to the initial position. So calculate king g6. King g6 is actually the simplest move to calculate. King f5, queen h5 check, g5. So I guess a lot of you are able to eliminate this move earlier. Right? I hope you were. So how many of you saw this? Let me know in the chat. Initially. Yeah. So from three candidate moves, you can eliminate king g6 and go to the other two actually. Right? So if you're able to eliminate king g6 very quickly, you should do it and then go to the other two. So candidate move 3. So that's what I'm saying, right? So we have eliminated two moves. This is our last hope actually. So what should we play? So knight into f6. So the two main candidate moves are f into g7 and f7. Okay. Anyway, so let's consider one by one. So f into g7, knight into g7, bishop h4, queen into d4, bishop f6, queen d7. It does not work, right? So black defends on time. So f7 is the other candidate move. Queen into f2, queen g8, king g6, queen, and then black takes a perpetual. So did I go a little too fast there? Right? So it's the same ideas we have been looking at for a while. So that is why I'm going a bit fast. Right? So And then, yeah, eventually my aim is to have a perpetual check. So maybe I'll even take the knight here. So yeah. So queen f7, if you play, my defense is mainly perpetual. And there's no way for white to stop that. So f into g7, like I said, is also a draw. So f7 is f8 knight check, f8 queen also is a draw. So what did we decide? Based on the calculation here. Knight into f6. Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. So common. So what is the problems with this approach, right? So obviously every approach has some issues. So you'll have to be aware of them. So for example, you dismiss moves too quickly without analysis. For example, I would just say that portion where we have to play queen d7 instead of f7. I don't know if you guys remember, but let's go there. So impulsively, if you play queen d7 here, yeah, if you play f7, you lose a half a point, right? So black will be able to make a draw. And yeah, so one other thing is not considering enough candidate moves, only calculating one move and deciding on that. That is another problem. That is a tunnel vision you have, right? So you'll have to learn to look at more candidates. So read through these again as you will receive this material in the Telegram group. So it is a simple way to speed up the method of calculation, speed up decision making. The best way to work with it is look for multiple candidate moves and learn to eliminate them for positional and tactical reasons. So the last point is the most important. With practice, the method becomes much faster and much more intuitive. You're not doing it so consciously with time. So initially it will take time to do it consciously, but you have to practice that all these steps, right? So all these steps you have to practice in order to make it more intuitive and faster. To make it faster, make it more, it was the goal of all calculation, all exercise that we practice. So I hope you guys also had fun and looking to see how I can do the session better, right? So thank you. Thank you. Bye, guys.